Okay, this is ICS321, and this is a special recording that I'm making on Friday. On Wednesday, I forgot to click the record button. So what I've done here is I've taken the stored procedure that I created on Wednesday, and I uploaded it to Laulima. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to download that export and upload it into your SQL server so you can see what I did, and then you can more or less continue on from that point. Okay, so if we look at our at the syllabus here, this would be the equivalent of today is November 30th, so the 28th. So it was, no, the 30th. Wednesday the 20th. Okay, so this is the day that I forgot to record. So this recording has to do with that day. All right. If we go to the assignment, what I had done is I got you started writing this stored procedure. Okay, so this stored procedure, you input a duty and a meeting ID and a member ID, and it will return whether or not that member is eligible to be assigned that duty on that date, on that day, on that member, on that meeting date. And so that's what this is all about. And it's according to these rules here. But no Toastmaster should be assigned a duty that he or she has to prepare for more than two meetings in a row. There has to be it has to be every other meeting where the member is assigned a duty that requires preparation, and then there's this period where you don't want to assign the person to be a Toastmaster more often than once every 3 meetings, and you don't want to assign somebody a timer more often than every other meeting, and so on. So those are the rules for deciding whether or not a person is eligible to perform a duty on a particular meeting day. The other thing is that you never want to assign somebody more than one duty on a date. It's possible that you can do that, but it's possible that somebody could perform 2 duties depending on what they are. But as a rule, let's not assign a member a person more than one duty on a particular meeting day. Okay, so so down here I've included the new export, a new export of the database that I finished, or at the point when I was done on Wednesday. And so let's download this, and this is what it looks like. And you see there is a stored procedure here which is called assignment valid, and this will return if an assignment is valid. You input the meeting ID, the member ID, the duty ID, and it's going to return whether or not it's a valid assignment. And that's this. And then there's another stored procedure here that I worked on earlier, which is it just returns to you what the meeting was prior to this meeting ID. So it takes in a meeting ID, and it returns the date of the meeting prior to that meeting ID. Now this didn't turn out to be really very useful because I'm dealing in meeting IDs and not meeting dates, but I just this is the first stored procedure I wrote just to see if I could figure out how all this stuff works and to get me started. So I've included that. Now there's tables, and there's some new data that I put in some of these tables. I actually created assignments for one of the meeting days. So I'm going to start to copy it here, and then I'm going to do Control A, and then I'm going to do Control C to copy. And then I'm going to go over to my server, and I'm going to create a new database. And I'm going to name it I'll name it Toastmasters 2. Okay, and let me go back to cPanel and let me open up phpMyAdmin, and I go to Toastmasters 2, and I can click on SQL, and I'm just going to paste this export right in here. Control V. There it is. Now I'm going to go through and change all of the names, the database names, to what my database is called, and my username actually. This is a comment. It was where I exported it from. This actually defines the first store procedure. I'm going to change this to what the user ID or the username is for this account. This is my Richard H account, as you see up here. So I'm going to change this to Richard H. See it right now. It's R1. It's R1 instead of RI. There's one there, and there's one here, RI. CHRD. That's the same as this up here. And then there's that view here. Let me try that. Fix that. See if that exports. Here it is. Let me change this to RI. All right. So I'm just going to click Go, and there we go. So it all exported. All right. So let's look at it now. We can go back to here, and we see they're all here. And let me close this and go back here and open up a new phpMyAdmin. And we see here it is, and we've got procedures here, and our view worked out. These are all the meeting roles with the up to 3 speakers and up to 3 evaluators. And here's our 2 store procedures. Now this first store procedure I said was a store procedure which you input a meeting ID, and it's going to return the meeting date of the previous meeting. And if we look at this store procedure, it's actually very simple. We start by selecting the date part of the start time field in the meetings table, where the meeting ID is equal to what was input. And then it does a select where it selects the first meeting date, the first meeting prior to our meeting ID. So this gets the date of the meeting ID that we input. This is the date of the meeting for the meeting ID that we input, and it's returned and stored here. So that's a date. And then here we select a meeting. We select the date of a meeting where the date of the meeting is less than the meeting date that we have up here. And we order it in descending order, so the most recent one is at the top, and we limit it to 1 return. So it's going to just be 1 date that's returned, and that's going to be the date of the meeting just before the meeting date of the meeting defined by the meeting ID that was input. So if you look at this and think about it a little while, let's try it out. It's previous meeting. So, and let's look at some meeting dates here. Here's some meetings, and so yes, 1101 is the meeting date that we've entered in a bunch of assignments, 1101, and 1101 is November 7th. So the previous meeting to 1101 should be October 31st. Let's see if that's right. I'm going to pop in some SQL right here. let's see, call previous meeting, and we have to input a meeting ID, and let's input 1101, and we're gonna output a date, DAT, I'll just call it, and then we select DAT, and we can see what that looks like, and we should get October 31st, 2018. And we do, October 31st, 2018. Okay, so let's look at assignment valid. That's really the one that I worked on the most yesterday. And let's go to our export. I think, do I still have my export? Yeah, here I still have my export in my clipboard. So let me find that. It's at the top here. Here it is. Here it is. Create. Here. Okay. Let me make it a little bit more readable here for us. I'm just going to delete all this stuff up here, and I think I'll delete all the rest of it. And so I have my stored procedure here. It's not very well. Let's see. Can I do something like, I'm going to try this. Save as sp dot stored procedure dot html. Does that change it changes the margins a little bit. I guess I could do C# or something, but all right. So these are the inputs. As we know, there's a meeting input, which is an integer, a meeting ID input, a member ID input, which is an integer, a duty ID input, which is an integer, and an output variable called valid, which is just a 10-character string. So we're going to hardwire everything here. So we're going to start by looking at Grammarian, and that's position number 5. Okay, and so this thing checks a this checks to see if someone can be assigned, to see if this member can be assigned a grammarian on this meeting ID. So the first, this thing here checks for meeting for grammarians. So let's look at the grammarian rules here. Let's see, I've got them here. Okay, so a grammarian requires preparation. So the first thing we have to do is we have to look back and see if the duty that this person was assigned to last week, if that duty required preparation. So if the person was assigned Toastmaster or Inspiration or Joke Master or Grammarian or Table Topics Master or Speaker last meeting, then we cannot assign this person Grammarian this meeting, because then that would be a duty that requires preparation 2 meetings in a row. So that's the first rule. The first rule is that the person cannot be assigned any of these duties. So first we check that. The second thing we do is we check, we go back 3 meetings, or not 1 meeting, 2 meetings. Yeah, we look at the last meeting and the meeting before to see if the person was assigned grammarian. So that would just be the meeting before, or the meeting before the last meeting, to see if the person was grammarian, because if the person was, then that would violate the every 3rd meeting rule for grammarian. And then the other thing that we need to check is if the person is assigned anything else this meeting. Okay, so the person cannot be assigned anything else the meeting. The person cannot have performed, uh, uh, cannot have been assigned a duty last meeting that required preparation, and this person can also not have been grammarian 2 meetings ago. So that's what checking for grammarian validity of somebody being grammarian. So let's see what we have here. We're going to start out by saying the setting this field to yes, and we're going to check things. And as we check things, if we find the person violated, that this assignment would violate a particular rule, then we'll change this to no. And we're also going to stick a little code on here so we know what why the person was rejected. So first I'm going to say this tests for 5. I just decided to do a variable here just because I'm going to have a lot of these. There's probably going to be one of these for every single duty in this store procedure. So this is for grammarian. And so I start out, and first I check if the duty ID, if this duty ID is grammarian, then we got to do all these checks. Okay. The first thing I'm going to check is I'm going to check to see if the member is already assigned to a duty. So I just select the duty ID from the assignments where the meeting ID is equal to this meeting and the member ID is equal to this member. So if this comes back with anything, then the person is already assigned a duty. If it comes back null, then the person is not assigned a duty. So I set the result equal to duty, and then I say if duty is not null, that means it's not null. That means that the person is assigned something, and I set the valid field, this valid return variable, to no -a because they've already assigned something. Okay, so if I make it here, then that means that the person has not been assigned a duty yet this meeting. So this is going to check to see if I need to check to see if anybody else has been assigned grammarian. Forgot about that one. So this counts up from the assignments for this meeting. How many other people are assigned grammarian? It's going to be either 0 or 1. And if it comes back 1, then there's already somebody assigned grammarian, so we can't assign this person grammarian. It can only be one grammarian. So we return a no-g. Okay, now if the person has not been assigned a meeting and there's no other grammarian, then we can check this, which is check the previous meeting ID to see if the person was a timer or anything else. Never mind. This is. I'm doing. I think this. Okay, let's see what this does. I think the comment might be wrong here. Set the date of the. Find the date of the meeting we're in question, and then figure out what the meeting ID is of the previous meeting. So this is kind of the opposite of that other store procedure that I showed you earlier, where we want to find the date of the meeting prior to the meeting ID in question. Here we're trying to find the meeting ID of the previous date. Okay, so we look at what that meeting ID is, and we check to see if this member was assigned on the previous meeting ID. If this member was assigned duty ID 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, or 9. What are these duties? Well, I'll just tell you. This is Toastmaster. This is Inspiration. This is Joke Master. This is Grammarian, and this is this is Grammarian, and 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 this is what is 7? Can't remember. Table topics master or something. And then 9 is speaker. So these are all duties that you have to prepare for, and what this is doing is checking to see if the previous meeting, if this member happened to be assigned a duty where that member had to prepare, and if so, then the person is rejected. Then the person cannot be assigned that duty. Okay. Otherwise, this thing, this next line figures out the date of the meeting prior to the previous meeting. So this is the date of 2 meetings back, and then we want to figure out what the meeting ID is of the meeting that's 2 meetings back. So that's what this does. This finds out that date, and then this finds out the previous meeting date, and then finds out the previous meeting ID. I think I got this right. And the way this works is it searches for the meeting ID of the meeting just before the previous meeting date, and it orders in descending order, and it only returns 1. So this is going to be, it's going to return the meeting ID of the previous meeting. And then the next line counts the number of times that the member was assigned to the position in question, which is grammarian. So this checks to see if the member was the grammarian 2 meetings ago. And if the person was, it's going to return a 1, and it's going to then set the valid return variable equal to no -pp because of previous meeting. The person was that position. Okay, so let's see if this thing works. And so how do we test this? Well, that's a good question. Let's see how we test it. If we look at meetings, let's first okay, so let's deal with meeting 1101, because that's what's been assigned here. These are all the positions that were assigned, and this is the duty ID: presiding officer, toastmaster, inspiration, joke master, grammarian, timer, and so on, table topics master. And then this is the member that was assigned. Okay, so let's work with these members here. It doesn't matter who they are, we just work with the numbers. Okay, so it works with grammarian. Let's first of all try to assign somebody else the position of grammarian on this day. Okay, so let's use me. Okay, my member ID is member ID number 1. If we look at members, I'm member ID number 1, and so with assignments, let's try to assign member ID number 1 to grammarian. Okay, so let's see how we do that. I think I've got something ready here. Oh, never mind. This is a nice select statement that will show me it joins the name of the duty with the name of the member to this. So let me just show you what that looks like. This displays the meeting ID, the duty ID, the member ID, the duty title, the name of the duty, and the first name and the last name of the member from assignments. So that looks like this. Okay. So these are people. Okay, so let's try to assign me the position of grammarian, and to do that, I think I'm going to open up another window here, and so we can refer back to this. So let me just put in some SQL here. I'm going to say call. Let me open up these procedures so I can call assignment valid. Meeting ID is 11001. The next is the duty ID is going to be 6. And the member is 1, that's me. And I think that's right order. Let's get this right here. Oh, meeting member duty. Oops, okay. Meeting member duty 6. So I'm trying to assign me grammarian, and there's already a grammarian. And then the variable for returning is, I'm just going to say val, ampersand val for valid. I'll just do valid. And then, so then I do select ampersand valid. Okay. So let's run this. It says yes. All right. What's wrong? Okay. What's wrong is in my procedure, I'm only looking at position number 5. I'm not looking at position number 6. And so it's not smart enough to check to see if anybody's assigned position number 6. I made a mistake. So position number 5 is duty 5 is grammarian. So I was doing duty 6, which is speaker. No, duty 6 is well, it's timer. All right, let's try this again. So I'm going to do duty 5. I'm going to try to set me to be timer. And let's see if this works. Select ampersand valid. Go. And now it says no. Grammarian. There's already a grammarian. Let's see, is that check? No dash G is this one. Yeah, this is already, someone's already been set to grammarian. Let's see if I can set to yeah, grammarian. 5 is grammarian. Let's get that right. Let's see if I can assign okay, so John Holman, member number 8, is grammarian on meeting ID 1101. There's nobody assigned to meeting 1100, so let's go forward. There's nobody assigned to meeting 1102. Let's try to assign John the role of grammarian for meeting 1102. And of course it should fail because John was just grammarian. No. Let's try to assign John a meeting, a duty that has that needs preparation. Okay, at the next meeting. So something like table topics master requires preparation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, table topics master requires preparation. So let's try to assign John, which is he's number 8, the role of table topics master, which is 7, 1102. So let's edit this. Meeting 1102, and the member is John, which is 8. And we are going to try to assign John 7, which is table topics master, at the next meeting. And it says, oh, I need to get it out. Select at valid. It says yes. Alright, let's figure out why. Alright, it's not working because I'm being stupid again. I can only test for number 6. I can only test for 6. So, because I don't have any tests for anything else. So let's see. I guess I can test if I can assign. I'll assign John grammarian 2 meetings from now. So that would be 1103. So I'm going to try to assign John grammarian 1103. John grammarian. It's got to be grammarian. And this should say, I gotta get that select. Okay, let's, oh, it's gotta be 6. 6. Because I'm sorry, 5. 5, 11038. Okay, so we're assigning him Grammarian 2 meetings from now. And that should say no PP. That's because previous. Not 1102, but 1101. John was Grammarian. So I can, but we can assign him Grammarian 110 or 1104. That should work. 1104. That's the last time John was Grammarian was 1101. So this goes back. John was Grammarian long enough ago where this should work. And I keep forgetting this. And yes, that works. Okay, so anyway, I've gone through some stored procedure for you. I've shown you how to test it, and so what you can do to test this more is to throw some other assignments in here, just 1 or 2, and you just test on that person. And once you get comfortable with that, then you should be able to expand out this stored procedure to cover all the positions, all the cases. And after you're done with that, it would be really cool if you could, instead of hard coding these things in, if you could actually read what the parameters are for assignment by the duties table. In other words, instead of checking to see if in the previous meeting the member performed a duty that required preparation, it'd be nice if instead of just hard coding 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9, if you could instead put some sort of select statement there that would return, for example, 2 because this is a 1, 3 because this is a 1, 4 because it's a 1, and so on. 2, 3, 4, 7, and 9 because there's a 1 over here. In other words, it returns duty ID from duties where preparation equals 1. See, this is the set. This is exactly this set. Okay, so anyway, I hope this helps, and we can talk more about this on Monday. Make sure you do your quiz. Your quiz is to, let me show you your quiz here. That seems pretty important. Assignments, quiz 25 is identify your group members and roughly what each member's task will be. If you are not a member of a group and you would like to work in a group, let me know. Or you can email the class. You can go in to email, and I think somebody already has, and or you can just email me, and I'll try to find someone who can be your partner, or find a group that you can be with. All right, so I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.